English? I changed my mind. I want to make it a little more entertaining because I know you guys are tired, maybe sleepy, maybe you want to go home soon, want to get this over. So my name is Radka, probably most of you met me before or know me. You know, everything's been said, pretty much. Danielle talked about Shavasana, it was my big topic. No, I'm not joking. I have nothing to say. Thank you, it was lovely presentations, I enjoyed it. So my topic is integration of yogic philosophy into modern yoga. And I did a little bit like a curve, like a little subtopic called from Hatha Yoga to Raja Yoga, because for me, as a translation of Hatha, I see it more like a force, more like a physical part of yoga, and I translate Raja Yoga, I go with Vivekananda, which is more 8 lengths of yoga. So we move from the physical to the 8 lengths eventually, hopefully. That's my goal. So, why I'm here today, I'm in LMU. It started with a book called 101 Asanas, How to Do Yoga. And you know those books like 101 types of things to do chicken, or, those cooking books. And, no, it's really, I was 18 and I saw this book and I'm like, wow, this is great, I can now do yoga. What is this about? So I opened the book and they were all gymnastics. I recognized these poses, like shoulder stand and head stand. I all did it in a gym. So I'm like, that's cool. Then I met a friend who told me, do not do yoga. Do not practice. It's very dangerous. You can hurt yourself. You need a guru, you need a special teacher. So my question is, and my paper starts with, what is yoga? And I did create it. Actually, why are we even here? Why are we even talking about it, right? And I created 2 questionnaires. And I asked people, one was for yoga teachers, and one was for yoga students. And it was, I had it all in my mind, like, okay, it's going to be like 5 minutes, I'm just going to write it down, the gender, and what's the, geography, and, okay, I ask this, and it took me 3 weeks. Which is not that long, but in my mind, I was like, okay, just write it down. And Anna actually really helped me. I had a lot of people look over it, and it's like, can I ask this question, or what about that question? And it was really challenging. And I have to say, thank you for having this opportunity to be here and do that, because I learned so much about human beings and myself, because I had a hard copy. I printed a lot of copies, and I also created a website, and I created Facebook online. And because I knew people are busy, this is 2015, so everybody's on the phone, everybody's on Facebook, so I'm like, okay, let's see what happens. And I have a lot of copies, hard copies left, a lot. I've wasted a lot of paper. I might reuse them somehow. But I printed it both sides, like to save paper, because there were around 20 questions. And a lot of older generation who doesn't like to use computers, who are not familiar with the technology, they wanted to have the hard copy. So they were happy about it. And I learned so much, like just asking simple questions. Please circle one thing. They circle all of them. All of them, because they like them all, right? And I'm like, okay, that's I can use that, so that's trash. So and I was very clear. And sometimes I said, anything applies, just go ahead, and people wouldn't even. Yeah. So it was a big experience for me. I never thought of like how it would be interesting to just give people a survey, and also asking them to help me with it. I was asking most of friends, and those friends through the other friends. And I got somebody from Turkey, I got people from Germany, I got people from Australia, Netherlands, Indonesia, story there. So yeah, I got people from all over, but mostly they were women. 80% were women and 20% men. And it's the same for the yoga teachers or for the yoga students. So that was pretty much the number we see in yoga studios. So my thesis actually addresses 3 primary questions. Why we include yoga philosophy into daily yoga practice. Second question I ask myself, how is yoga philosophy currently incorporated into modern yoga instruction? And that's why I did the survey. And then what steps can be taken to better integrate yoga philosophy into the lives of yoga practitioners? So it started, I think 3 years ago. I was talking to a Bikram instructor. She's been teaching Bikram for 5 years. And she's from my country. She's from the Czech Republic. I'm from the Czech Republic. And we were walking together, and I said to her what my dream is. I really want to study in depth the yoga philosophy of Patanjali, and maybe I would like to translate it into my language because it has never been done. And she said, what are you talking about? What yoga philosophy? She couldn't even say the word. And I'm like, you are an instructor. So anyway, it's all, I learned through the process. It all starts with the parents, and they teach their kids, right? So I see it starts with the teachers. You know, you have the yoga teachers. They learn, we learn, students, you know, the yoga students are learning from the yoga teachers. If they don't know how to pronounce the Sanskrit words, or they don't know what, I'll show you what some words mean, then it's a problem. And I think we really need to, or I feel there is a need of yoga philosophy. And, you know, like I'm mostly looking at the Yoga Sutra of Patanjali, Dattatreya Yoga Shastra, and the Hatha Yoga for the Bikram. So I find them the most, I know, there's the Gita, I know, there's the Vedas, there's the Upanishads, I know, but this is what I'm looking for this project. So I want to show you some funny stuff from the survey. So, you know, I changed the survey many, many times, and I talked to Anna, and first I had the question, what is yoga to you? How would you define it? And people say, let it blank, just see what happens. Okay, so we all changed it. So Anna had this idea, because I was sharing with her that a lot of Bikram / Hatha yoga students, or even instructors, they don't know the understanding what tapas means. You know, they just think it's something else. So Anna came up with this idea that maybe you leave it blank, because I had it like, you know, I had tapas is that, and have you ever seen it, or can you recognize these terms? So it would be, you know, just check, check, check. But we don't know if they really understand it. So I left 20 terminologies blank, and I left it as the last question, because people, believe me, were very upset. They didn't like the survey because of that. They complained about it. But it was because I learned this. They were so upset because they felt bad. They didn't know, and they're like, you know, like, because, you know what I mean. So they just felt embarrassed, you know, and I'm like, no, that's good, it's improving my point. Didn't help. Anyway, so I started with 2 easy words. First was Om, and the second one was Namaste. And I would say 90% of people knew what Om meant. Actually, one yoga practitioner came up to me. She said, Radka, I have been studying yoga for 20 years. I don't know what it means. Like, she was really upset. And she's like, I need to look it up. I need to read about it. You know, so that was really nice. And so most people understand the terminology of Om, but what I find interesting, because I don't want to be judgmental, I learned this. Don't be judgmental, people see things differently. So they will think it's a peace, or it's union. You know, like I never even thought of it, like they see that. Or, funny one, it's a cool tattoo.
Cool tattoo.
A cool tattoo. I have seen one myself, so I Namaste, you know, most people say the basic stuff, but some people actually say it's thank you. I'm done. Okay, thank you. Yeah, most people thought namaste was thank you, and I talked to my yoga friend, Michael, you probably met him. He's a yoga practitioner. And he always does namaste like that, and we were talking about it like, maybe you are giving him bad impressions that this means thank you for the practice. And it's interesting how these words can be incorporated into later using, you know, people think that's what it means. So I use the word karma, people, mostly was action, but some people say it's juju, which I have to look it up, or spiritual guide. Or word dharma, people would say TV show Lost.
The Lost show.
Yeah, the Lost show. Nadis, that was also interesting. I had a hard word, you see, nadis. Some people knew exact nadis number, I'm sure it was some of the ones here. But also people thought it was a nose, or rivers, which I can see that there. Asana, that was interesting. People thought it's a breath. Like, you know, most people say postures. But some people thought movement of postures, movement of groups of movements, which is more vinyasa, and breath. And tapas. Tapas was funny. I was telling Anna, coming here. So, you know, people said it's heat or austerity, that's fine. But also small dish. That's better. Spanish food. Or great Spanish treats. Astea, only 16% out of, I had 174 yoga students participate in the survey and 38 yoga teachers. So from 176, 16% knew what Astea was. And most of them say, I had no idea. Sorry. Oh, question mark. What do you mean? Ahimsa, I wanna talk about ahimsa a little bit. Most people see it as a non-violence, and I think 90% people say non-violence, and I believe it's because of Gandhi. I think it's because, yeah, that was really pleasant to me. But some people thought it was satya or was samsara, ahimsa, so a little confusion. Pranayama, most people understand pranayama, breath control breath. Some had no idea, so that tells us a little bit that people just don't really know what's going on. And dhyana was very confusing to people. We usually say meditation, so dhyana they thought was giving or concentration. So I have to wrap up. So what I learned through this experience, through the survey, was most yoga teachers are interested in group discussions, yoga philosophies, workshops. Almost 90% of people, they would like to learn more, they would like to take, study it, they were interested in Sanskrit. And the yoga students, I was hoping, and I was right. Only 9% said, don't care. The rest, it was 45%, I think, 47% said, yes, I would like some philosophy. 36%, yeah, I think it's important. And most people, 80% say, I would like to take workshops. I would like to learn more. And I actually was giving this survey to one student, and he told me, he was kind of upset. He said, what do you mean yoga philosophy? There's philosophy? But then when I tried to talk to him, and there are 8 limbs, and that's what I'm concentrating on. There is asana, the physical practice that I always to people. That's 1/8 of it. There's more, and I think there's benefit to incorporate it all in a yoga class. But again, I was talking to people in Austin. They have a studio. They actually study with Ramaswamy. We were in the same teacher training, Stephen. So he's doing Raja Yoga. So we are talking about it. He's incorporating all 8 limbs, and he told me, Radka, it's so challenging. People in the morning, they're falling asleep. They still want to nap. People in the afternoon, after the lunch, they don't want to listen to philosophy. So he said it's really, really challenging. So my future plans will be working with him, bring the Raja Yoga here, in the West Coast. I mean, Texas in between. So like it's challenging, but I think it's possible, and I'm happy that actually my goal was to hopefully there is a hunger for what we are doing here, and people are really interested. And if you talk to them a little bit, just a little bit of Sanskrit, and a little more, a little bit of philosophy, and then a little more. It's just it. And again, going back to Shavasana, I talked to this is my last thought. Indian woman who is teaching a classical Indian dance, and she's a yoga practitioner for years. And she told me she's from North India, and she said, because I asked her, what's your yoga? How you call your yoga style? There's so many. When I was researching, yes, there are so many. And she said, I just call it yoga. We don't use any adjectives. It's just yoga. And she learned through her dad, who actually was a Iyengar practitioner, which I learned later. And we had the best conversation. And she told me Shavasana is so important in the practice. And it's, as Anna said, it's actually Laya Yoga. So it's a type of meditation. And I think I do experience it in most of the classes. I don't know if you guys, the teacher just skips Shavasana, they want to do as many poses as possible. Or people just leave, I have to go 5 minutes early. So they don't get the benefit, the full benefit of, why are you even here? Just go to the gym and do some lift weights, You don't have to be in a yoga class. So, anyway, thank you guys. No questions.
I think it's really great how you reached out to people, and I just am curious, how did you did you encounter like total strangers on Facebook, or how did you reach to people?
Yeah, so I don't want to share the story with the Indonesian guy, but I found him through Facebook, and he saw my survey, and he's a yoga practitioner. And I said, please, can you help me out? I'm doing this, and I explained a little bit the survey. And he said, sure, just add me as a friend, and I do it. So we are friends now. But yeah, it was hard for me because I don't like to ask people for something, and it felt like, yes, like, especially nowadays, people have no time. I see them, they leave 5 minutes early, or it's 10 o'clock, class is over, they're going, and to just even give them like a little slip. You can do it online. It takes 5 minutes, 5 minutes? Okay. So most of my friends only did it. I just wanted to have an idea what's up there. This is not, going to be peer published, or this is just the basic for me. But if I want to do it scientifically, like maybe have like, I don't know. I mean, it was pretty much just through friends. I could do it like for $1,000 a week and reach maybe 50 people, but I just felt like, I had a lot of friends on Facebook, I realized, and most of them are yoga teachers or yoga students. So that was an interesting realization. Yeah, it was difficult. It was because I really have to put up there myself. And I'm a shy person, So I had to say like, please, I'm doing this, survey on yoga, and there are not that many, right? So people are like, okay. So, but they didn't like the last question. So.
I like your takeaway.
Thank you. Yeah, it was really interesting. It's always organic. Like you don't know when this project's how it's gonna develop, how it's gonna go. But because when you work with people or with yourself, pretty much.
Thank you. We have 2 more presenters.